Ready or not, here we come, getting down on the one which we believe in.
I mix a lot of things together. You know what I mean? Like I consider myself a popper and a boogaloo. I consider myself a locker, a Memphis jooker. You know, and I put everything together. You know what I mean? Even when I think like, okay, I'm doing a pop-in solo right now, or I'm doing a boogaloo, so I just put everything together. And a lot of people, especially overseas, they look at me and sometimes they say, "Oh, you're not a popper because you're not flexing your muscles enough. You're not, popping your muscles enough." And I'm just curious what you guys think. So I want to know what was the word that you guys called the dance when you're doing it back in the day, and I want to know if that was a literal thing, if boogaloo meant only to roll, or if boogalooing meant to do many things together.
Well, I have to answer that question from the beginning.
Love that.
Yeah.
Let me answer the question. Because see, the thing is, what you're asking is a very fascinating question, but it's a very complex question.
Yeah.
And let me tell you why it's a complex question. You got to realize when boogalooing started in Oakland, or cutting up, it's called cutting up, or boogalooing or bugging. There was no committee of people or people who set rules or set policy. It just took a life of its own. Nobody was in charge.
No one person made.
So not so much one person made it up. That's not the issue. The point is there was nobody in charge of what this is going to be called or what this is. It just took a life of its own.
It had a life of its own.
It's only until later on, then when people were trying to define, okay, what is it that you guys in Oakland do? So now we're forced to get together and create almost like a dictionary or create some words, because you don't think about it when you're doing the time. If you think about anybody who does something from back in the day, they just do it and the people call it what it is, or the media calls it what it is. But now that it's an issue of a question of what we do, we ourselves now have to say what we're doing and what is called what.
Right.
So saying that, what the people called it or other dancers called it, somebody called it boogaloo, somebody called it cutting up. Somebody called it getting down.
And it also depends on what neighborhood you're in.
This is another thing that he's trying to say. This is where it gets complicated. To the people who don't know the terminology, I say fans or people watching, to them it's all boogalooing. They don't know the difference if you're a robot, if you're 3Ding, if you start dinosauring. They don't know the terminology. They don't know that guy. Man, we was up there and that guy was boogalooing. They don't know that. It's the dancers, when they talk among each other, they say, oh yeah, those guys did the first style, which was snatching heads, cutting up. Oh, they were bugging. Oh yeah, Henry Fisher and them they robot. Oh yeah, Kearney and them, they vibrate. They be like animating. So to answer your question, Walter Freeman, I think he put it best. He was a member of Gentleman Production. He's in New York doing tap dancing on Broadway now. He said boogalooing was a freestyle dance where you do everything you want, where you incorporate illusions, restriction of muscles, stops, robot, wiggles, worms. It's whatever. It's everything. Because there's no one rule that somebody says you have to do this or do that. We never thought about it, because if you remember back in the day, you could take 100 guys from Oakland and none of them have a style similar to each other, and none of them, they were right, none of them were wrong, they were all right. That was their approach. I mean, if you want to jump off, there was one guy out of West Oakland named Donald Jones. He was in a group called Granny and the Robotroids, and it was a mixture of half San Francisco and half Oakland. And he'd flip off the stage and be hollering and start doing the James Brown. Then he would wiggle, then he'd snatch your head, then he would drive the car, and so he combined 5 different styles. But nobody ever questioned him and said, you can't do that. Oh man, he'd be boogalooing. So to answer your question is, there is no rule. Boogalooing is a freestyle dance where you can do everything you want to, but the main foundation that you have to come back to is the restriction of the muscles. Anything that resembles illusions and stopping, which is connected to a robot.
Well, that's what I understand.
As long as you hit that rule, you can jump off the roof, you can lock, you can jit, you can Memphis gangster walk. As long as you come back to the foundation where you're hitting, That's what the rules is. That's we now know that we gave it a name because we didn't think about it, but that's what it was. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah.
Now, my understanding is this.
I don't think it's one word to describe it.
Yeah.
It's a pyramid. This is what I've always grown up with. It's a pyramid, right? Boogaloo is the top of that pyramid. Everything follows underneath that umbrella effect or whatever. Boogaloo describes everything that we do. It's the mentality, the style. It's a language without speaking. Boogaloo simply means to get down. That person's getting down. Boy, that boy is a bad Boogaloo. He's a bad get down. Now the thing about it was, back in my time, when they had all these different names, and cats would say, "Man, what do you call yourself?" I was called Victor. That's my name, Victor. That's what I told him. So the thing about it was, eventually, people started calling me this Boogaloo Vic. And Dana was one of the main inspirations for that, you and Jose, because they always kept calling me Boogaloo Vic. Jose used to be Boogaloo Vic. And it's what the people called me, because that's how they described me. That's what they described me as doing. That's that's a respectful. It's like sensei, the height of all martial arts. So underneath that, you would have a gamut of different styles that created out of moves, and that became the popping, that became the strutting, that became the touch, that became the waves, that became the hits, all the different styles where people would do whatever you would do. That fell under Boogaloo.
Well, I mean, you just said I just messed up or something. I want to read. I want to read. No, she say something. I just thought about. Let me cut you off. I just realized I said something wrong.
Yes.
To understand, this is where it gets complicated. The word Boogaloo has been used many times since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
For different reasons, for Boogaloo music and for Boogaloo dance, whether it was in New York, whether it was in Puerto Rico, whether it was James Brown, Boogaloo dance. But the Boogaloo in Oakland, which is Oakland Boogaloo, was an umbrella name for many sub-styles with everything in it. That's where. And that's what I want to say. Because we never have to think about this, but now we have to terminology so we can understand.
But think about this.
That's what it is.
All the cities around, they might have called it in different cities, popping, strutting, and all that, but they all understood that it was called Boogaloo. First, hey man, I just gotta say it like this: the Bay Area, like Hammer says, whatever Oakland first starts and direct, and the rest of the Bay follows.
Yeah,
we are the heart.
It's like an umbrella, like a spider web. You start something here, and by the time it metamorphs to other cities, and here it's got different names, different styles. It's reincarnated in different turfing. It's gone to So that's the best way I can say is it was when Boogaloo was used in Oakland, the terminology was an umbrella name for many sub-styles, which is your freestyle, whatever you want to do. But the main unspoken rule, as long as you come back to the hit or some type of illusion, because if you don't do that, you're defeating the whole purpose.
Right.
So to answer your question, that's the way I would look at it in Oakland.